What's up, dudes, dudettes, and those in between? My name is Bob. We got some quote-unquote serious shit to talk about today. If you haven't heard the whole controversy, if you want to call it that, with Riley Dennis's transition update, right? Let me give you the backstory before I get into things. Number one, I didn't want to talk about this when it happened because I knew people would have a big emotional response and people would freak out and, dumb shit. As you know, I'm a sociopath. I don't do emotions. I don't do empathy, really. It doesn't register. So anyway, that disclaimer aside, and trigger warning aside, Riley Dennis has recently come out and said that, and I have no issue misgendering Riley. No issue. Zero. I have no issue misgendering him while he still sits there and calls entire groups of people racist, sexist, whatever, right? You reap what you sow in that regard. So, Riley has recently come out and said he is transitioning. He's been on hormones for like 10 or 11 months, somewhere in that time range, and that he was planning to have his first body modification surgery relatively soon, right? And then you have people like Blair White that, and I'm not shitting on Blair White here. You can do this. I just don't understand the point of it. You have people like Blair White and Shoe on Head and a bunch of other anti-social justice people going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you." And okay, I didn't. I'm not apologizing for it. I just didn't. I didn't believe you. And they had these big emotional responses. But let's talk about it for a minute. What kind of bothers me about this is it seems like Riley is playing chess. It seems like he knew that if he held off his transition um, progress, letting that information out, he could score victim points and whatever by revealing it months after the fact. Let me draw an equivalent scenario. Let's say this is a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months, however long it's been, I forget. But the whole Kathy Griffin Donald Trump thing. Remember where she had the depiction of the severed head of Donald Trump? If I came out and said I am Donald Trump's son, I'm not. I'm not. Trust me, I would shoot myself if I was. But if I came out and said I was Donald Trump's son and that I wanted her fired and I was going to sue her, right? I'm seeking some kind of action for what she has done based on a claim that I am Donald Trump's son. I'm related to him, right? That's kind of what it is for Riley and his transition. He claimed he was trans. He also claimed that he didn't have body dysphoria and wasn't planning on transitioning, and those were all things said in Milo Stewart's videos as guest appearances and whatnot, so that's where some of the confusion came in, but whatever. But yeah, let's say I have the situation where I claim I am something and I want action done because I am that thing, right? A logical person would go, okay, give me your birth certificate. Let me see that you are Donald Trump's son, uncle, whatever, family member, right? Then, yeah, you could have some legitimate grievance there. And Riley's sitting here basically before the big announcement was pushing his way into the trans community and saying, I'm one of you, blah, 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 blah. Fight for me, give me Patreon dollars and all this other stuff and whatever, because I'm trans. And when people were asking, okay, if you're trans, prove it. Well, fuck you. I'm not gonna prove anything. You gotta back up your claims, man. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And the whole gender identity thing, as much as I don't understand it, because it seems like nonsense to me. It does. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, whatever. I don't get it, right? But I know enough about it to understand that there are two gender identities, which is why I'm holding this, because this is going to be a really good example. you have two gender identities. You have your internal gender identity, which I'm a male. That's one of the ways I show off my maleness. This is one of the ways I show off my maleness. I don't have tits. You know, I'm a male, right? And of course, these are biological features, and I am biologically male, yeah. It just so happens my gender identity matches up with that, along with 99 fucking percent of the fucking world, you know. Whatever. But that's internal. That's the one everyone knows about. It's talked about. We have so much information on it, right? And then there's a second gender identity, which is external, which is this stuff. Okay, that might be a little confusing, whatever. But your external gender identity is when other people try to identify you. Like, I identify this object as a knife, as a worker's knife. Why? It's sharp, has a sturdy blade, it can cut things, assuming I sharpen it, you know. It's a knife. That's what it is. I identify this object as a knife. Kind of like I identify that as a razor blade, which I probably should have used for the cutting example. Whatever. The difference is, this doesn't have sentience. This doesn't have cognition. This doesn't have thought. It can't, in any sense of the word, say, I'm a gun, I'm a hammer, I'm a pencil, I'm whatever, right? Biologically, sex, knife, gender identity, doesn't exist. Because it's mental. It's in your head, right? It can't have a gender identity. It can only have an external one. In that sense, you know, in a parallel sense. So that's why I think a lot of people were confused. And yes, I am slightly downplaying the hate that Riley receives, but then again, Riley's a piece of shit, so hey, you know, that might explain some of the hate. But yeah, I have no issue with Riley's transition. I wish him the best. I honestly, if Riley has developed some kind of dysphoria, and this transition process, you know, if the hormones help, if the surgeries help, great, awesome. Now, can you do me a favor and stop being a prick to people on the internet, you know? Can you stop calling me racist? Can you stop calling me sexist? I'll stop misgendering you. If you treat people with respect, they'll treat you with some respect. More than likely. You know, it is the internet. So that's where I stand with the whole thing. And I just wanted to put that idea out there that knife. This is what Riley Dennis was doing. Was saying, I'm a hammer. Well, no, you're not. Prove that you are a hammer. Now, it could be a hammer. I could sit there and go bap, 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 and hammer in a nail. I could use it as a hammer. It's not an effective one. Kind of like a trans woman is not an effective woman. She can't have babies. I don't mean that offensively. I'm just saying. But that's where I sit with the whole thing. And yeah, I'm still going to be a dick to Riley. Because Riley's a dick. Pun intended. Yeah, just some food for thought. For any trans people that are out there that are maybe worried about coming out with being trans or whatever, why not? You know, I would assume there's a great the greatest majority of the population is like me. I don't care if you call yourself a knife, a hammer, a male, a female, an Apache helicopter. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And honestly, if my brother were to come up to me and go, I'm a female, okay, dudette, whatever, you know, I have no bad blood with that person. I have no bad blood with the majority of people because I don't know them, right? I haven't developed bad blood with them. You have to develop bad blood. So, like I said, food for thought. That's all the time I got for this one. I really didn't want to talk about it, but it needed to be said. Some of the blame is on you, Riley. Some of it. Not all of it. but some of it is. Stop being a shithead, and people will stop being a shithead to you. Get it through your skull, dumbass.